Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition. Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney. My guests this evening are staffs and students who are part of AccessPoint Rhode Island. It's a nonprofit organization that services children and adults with developmental disabilities. Timing is really important, particularly around the news that we're finding out about budgetary cuts that would have an impact on this and so many other programs. My guests this evening are the Director of Program Development, Rory Carmody, the lead instructor for the program and kind of a catch-all of all the other things that get done there as well, with Jim O'Connor, and a student in the program, Brianna Puglia. Hey, welcome to there we go. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I think that the conversation is very timely, particularly around the value of the program that AccessPoint Rhode Island offers with this particular program with the partnership with CVS. What are some of the issues facing the people in your program, both children and adults right now?
I think some of the biggest obstacles are the lack of experience that some of our folks have coming through the high school and then not having the entry to college or secondary education and needing to find some vocational training, meaningful vocational opportunities that give them access to the world of work. And that's what we're trying to do by facilitating this training, is to get more people ready for real work.
I think one of the things that you talked about, and I think, Jim, we talked about outside before the television show, was that many individuals don't have employment to put on their resume, and this not only provides the kind of training requirement, but provides an internship or an externship, some people refer to. Explain to me about this externship, Jim.
Sure. Well, the program is a 9-week program, Bob, and it's 6 weeks of back to school in the classroom. We meet 5 days a week for 3 hours a day, and we're using materials from the Federal Department of Labor and Training to develop and hone soft skills for employment. We're also doing a lot of work with customer service, providing good customer service and honing those skills. So it's 6 weeks in the classroom, and then there's a 2-week paid externship with CVS, our partner. Our students are placed in their community CVS, which is nice, and they are paid for that, not by CVS, but the funding comes through the Department of Labor and Training. Then we wrap everything up with 1 week of reviewing our externships, and then we assist students with applying, the arduous task of applying for a position with CVS online, and that takes about an hour and a half to do.
Even that task in and of itself, of filling in the applications online, because that's the primary mode of applying for jobs these days, that in itself can be a task for anybody.
Herculean. Absolutely. CVS has given us a special accommodation so we can do this as a group. And myself and my team of instructors have been trained how to navigate the situational profile and assessment that comes with a lot of online applications today. So,
when we talk about these employers, Rory, what is it employers need to know, or how can they, better still, how can they be helpful in this process? Because I understand that CVS is the major partner in terms of providing the externships, but there are many businesses throughout the state, both small and large, that could be very much a recipient of wonderful benefits of individuals coming and working within their company.
I think employers need to know that hiring a person with a disability is not a detriment to their business, that they're really hiring the person who has the ability and the capabilities to do the job that they're offering, and not to look at that as a deterrent. To take the time to get to know some of our agencies, the work we do, the supports we can provide to them. And I think in many instances, employers are finding that they're hiring good people who happen to have disabilities, but good people who stay with them long term. You know, and there's some tax incentives. There's a targeted jobs tax credit that employers can benefit from. But overall, I think employers are finding out they're getting great people, and they're tapping into a resource pool that they didn't realize was there before. And we've seen a lot of growth in employees recognizing that. So we go out to employers on a daily basis. We're part of our Chamber of Commerce's. We welcome any opportunity to be able to converse with employers and to give them the information they need about working with us. And we also like to give back to our employers. So if an employer has an employee who's struggling, we can offer them assistance and find direction or resources they might need. If employers have kids with disabilities, we're a great resource. We provide on-site training free of charge as well around disability awareness, disability sensitivity, the ADA, equal opportunity employment. So we try to be a partner with any of the businesses we go out to.
That's really positive. It's a good piece, and I would really encourage businesses to partner with you and continue and extend this program to give opportunities to a whole variety of people who could bring so many skills and talents.
Absolutely.
But I think the person I'm really waiting to talk to you is you, Brianna. And I've heard wonderful things. I've heard wonderful things about how talented you are. Has this program helped you in getting a job?
Yeah, it actually did. Before I worked at Walmart, the place I work right now, I actually was never employed. Like, I've been on interviews, but they never really seemed to actually give me a chance. It wasn't until I went to AccessPoint and I did the externship, and I actually told the manager at Walmart about what I did, and I think that actually helped me get that job at Walmart.
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm sure, the program really seems to have made a difference for everybody in particular, but what would you think was the best piece of the program?
The staff, because they really gave me an idea of what it's like working. They told us a lot about like different people who now like celebrities that also struggled, and look where they are now.
And that's exactly what it is. Would you recommend this program to your friends?
Yes, definitely.
See, I think that in itself really speaks to the program. That's the accolades that I know that the program has received, and I really look forward to having this conversation with you, and with you, Brianna, in particular. I think it's important for us to really talk about the skills that the students would learn in a program like this, because they're not just retail sales skills, they're not just customer service skills, they're life skills.
Indeed.
Jim, tell me about the skills themselves.
Yes, well, we focus on soft skills, and these are skills that are transferable to every dimension of life, but to any job, really. So we focus on things like good communication skills, verbal and nonverbal communication, the power of networking and finding work and building a strong foundation once you've found work, with retention, because retention has always been a big problem with the people that we service and support. We can be successful in getting the door open and getting work, but how do we retain the job? So soft skills can help with that. Technology, integrating technology in the job search and helping the student to retain the job. And I'm amazed at young people today, how their techie skills are very impressive. I'm an old timer, I'm 50 and over, and I've often turned to students and asked for help, right, Brianna?
Yes.
On how to use the emerging technology. But so, yeah, a lot of kids are coming out of special programs with great technology skills, and we're helping to take those skills and mold them and adapt them so they can be used in searching for work and retaining work.
It's important, too, that we really understand that, because I've been involved in education and workforce development for more than years than I care to say, but well over 40. And the conversation hasn't changed. If anything, it's become more aligned with those core skills, the soft skills, because oftentimes there has been noted comments on the part of all employers that that's the biggest skill gap. They often say, if you give me a student who has effective communication skills and some problem-solving skills and who can work together in a team, I can teach them anything, but they need that in order to be successful. And it really sounds like this program is reflective of a general training program that would enable everybody to be successful. And I think that I'd like to know, how did the partnership become? How did that even start with CVS?
Oddly, it started with helping a young woman we support get a job at CVS. And I developed a relationship with CVS and started to talk with them about other opportunities that we'd love to have them to be a part of. They have a wonderful program in Boston, a training program similar to this, and I asked if we could replicate that here in Rhode Island, and they were more than willing to do that. DLT, our Department of Labor and Training, came right in with the funding for it to make it doable and sustainable. And then we're probably in our 6 months, so we're still in our bit of our infancy, but we're really seeing progress with the folks that we've been supporting and recruiting new students to each subsequent cohort.
I think you had mentioned that you had 10 students who completed the program
Yes.
already.
Yep.
Some are employed in other places.
Yes.
You know, CVS has contacted individuals who may be working somewhere else.
Correct.
But the partnership truly seems to be working, and I'm really hopeful that more employers having the opportunity to hear you
Right.
and to listen to this show will take the opportunity to be able to contact you and find out how they can become more involved. Because it enhances the lives of the clients that you serve and the employers that get the opportunity to be able to hire
Absolutely.
any individuals, but particularly from this program. I want to thank you for participating in the program, or in Labor Vision. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you if there's anything that you would like to add about the importance of the program, or what you might need to enhance the program from employers or the community or anybody else.
I think just a willingness for employers to talk with us. And in some instances, perhaps employment isn't going to occur, but maybe an internship might, or job shadowing, or some other type of opportunity to be involved with the business community. We're open to anything and look for opportunities to work with businesses.
I have seen throughout my entire career when individuals are given the opportunity to do an internship or an externship, whichever they may wish to call it, more often than not, they are pleasantly surprised
Right.
by the individuals who come in those doors. And for many, many years, I have seen individuals go into an internship, and their first job after university or post-secondary training or a vocational or technical school is with that company, because they developed a
Right.
relationship. They understand the capacity of all the individuals and what their needs are. So I would really encourage people to get in contact with AccessPoint Rhode Island
Yes.
to become a partner in the program. I want to in particularly thank you, Brianna, for coming on. I think that you're an inspiration to all of us in terms of, your ability to be able to express how valuable those jobs are and how important they are to you, as they are for everybody. So thank you for coming. Jim, thank you for your commitment to the program. I know that, you've been involved in really making sure that the curriculum is effective. And Rory, thank you for your commitment to the program. You've been doing this for a while, and
Yes.
we all truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this edition of Labor Vision. I want to encourage each and every employer that's possible to get involved in this program, because you will be the winner when the program is over, or you've had the opportunity to bring in a student for an internship or an externship. Thank you for watching, and good evening.
Hi, I'm Tom Carr from the Rhode Island AFL-CIO, and you're watching Labor Vision. With me today is Jeff Partington from the Woonsocket Teachers Union. Let's just say Jeff has been having some issues with his council, his mayor. They're not doing the right thing up there for his members. So let's get right to it. Jeff, how long have you been a teacher in Woonsocket?
This is my 19th year teaching.
Wow.
So, yeah, so here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you teach?
I teach business and history.
How long have you been union president?
I've been union president since 2011, so 7 to 8 years now.
How did you first get involved with the union?
The union had an internship program, so there were a dozen of us or so that were sort of in the class, and most of those are my officers now. So we've continued that tradition, and last year we had some interns again. So that seems to work pretty well in bringing up officers and creating interest within the union. You know, it's important to sort of broad base what you do, and you have a much more transparent organization if you bring people in and let them see what you're doing, because I think a lot of times the membership thinks, you know, there's this sort of black box and a decision is made, and that's not the way it works.
Who does the Woonsocket Teachers Guild represent?
Well, we represent 525 teachers and about 125 paraprofessionals.
Comes to your contract, when did it expire?
June 30th of 2018.
Okay, so
For the first time in 35 years, we don't have a contract.
what is, well, like right now, what is your current status of negotiations?
So we're in mediation. Well, it is what it is.
That's what I say too.
So we had 128 proposals. We settled about 52 of them. There's about 11 that are financial, and that's what we're battling over. We withdrew, or they withdrew, because we knew there was no going to be anything. About 42 of them. So we've made significant progress, but unfortunately, you know, if we go to arbitration, that would be nice, except it's not binding on anything monetary, and that's the only thing that we have left.
Right.
One of the reasons that we are where we are is because we have an appointed school committee. So the mayor had full control over what it was.
Yes.
And to be truthful, I believe she botched the entire thing. She started 3 months late in the process. There was no one on her negotiating committee that had ever negotiated before. So the gentleman who is the chief negotiator was Charlie Ruggiero. Nice fellow, and he's an attorney. He's done negotiations before. He was against Mary Beth Calabro in Providence. He was against us in Woonsocket. Nice fellow, but you know, he was the only one that had negotiated before. So it's a little bit difficult trying to get it. We're also in a very unique situation because we had a budget commission. So,
are you guys still working under that?
Well, we are. We still have an overseer, but the Budget Commission themselves has left town. So because of that, it has been, we ended up, we had no raises for 8 years. We gave back some money in 2009. We got a 2% raise in 17-18, and then the Budget Commission, acknowledging that we had, you know, significant givebacks, had given our basis a 2% raise, teachers only though, for 2018-2019. So at least we have that.
Right.
But the issue is that even if you count that, 4% raise in 10 years, that's not even close to what everyone else has gotten.
Right.
So one of the reasons that we're in this impasse, and I believe some of the questions that you're going to ask later on have to do with the fair funding formula flattening out. And one of the reasons that we're in impasse is because now they're saying, oops, sorry, we don't have any money. That's just not an acceptable thing to my membership.
How does the Woonsocket teachers pay compare with others statewide?
So we've always been, or tried to be, the median. So in 2009, we're at the median, and in 2018, we're at the bottom. So, and that's happened because everyone else has gotten raises over that period of time. So now we're on the bottom, and with the offers that the city has made to us so far, we would still be on the bottom 3 years from now. So we find that very unacceptable. We should be in line with the urbans. We should be in the median of the state.
You're a city school.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're a large school system. You're not a town.
But we also deal with populations that are not easy. They're very, very difficult. So there needs to be a compensation, ring for that, because if there isn't, people are going to leave, and this is what's happened. We're bleeding about a teacher a week.
Right. And Woonsocket also takes in kids from other towns for your programs, for like your...
Yeah, the Career Center.
The Career Center, right?
Yep, sure. We have that also, which is beneficial to us and beneficial to them, but unfortunately, as I say, we're bleeding a teacher a week in the middle of the year. That's unheard of.
Right.
And the reason is because we're not compensating them, and our population is getting more difficult over time.
All right, so the education aid formula Rhode Island adopted, increased funding with some districts, including Woonsocket, over a 7-year period. Those increases no longer built into the formula.
Correct.
How was the statewide funding formula flattening in 2019 affected Woonsocket?
So as we're negotiating, the other side is looking for a guarantee of funding. And if they have that guarantee of funding, they can say, okay, here's how much we can pay you. Unfortunately, without that guarantee, the state's saying, sorry, we're going to flat fund what we did. Without that guarantee, they're pretty much, maxed out on what they're doing now. They would need more money in order to give us raises, is their point of view. Or they'd like to know 2 years out what it's going to be. So the fair funding formula, at least they knew they were going to get so much per year. But now with it flattened, everyone acknowledges there's probably going to be more money, but nobody can say how much. So I have a membership that's been sitting here for a long time waiting for more money. We want a guarantee.
Yeah.
And they want to, the management or administration would like a guarantee. Right now, there are no guarantees, and that's one of the major reasons why we are in mediation and why we haven't been able to settle. My population has gone a long time without anything.
Yeah.
So that is probably the biggest stickler as to why we're here, where we are.
And Woonsocket itself, as a municipality, has one of the lowest funding for its own city to education.
We're the lowest funded in the state by $400 per student, we think. It's between $400 and $800 per student, which would be around, we're underfunded by $2.5 to $4 million, if that's the case, because we have about 6,000 students. So that's a significant amount of money. And the municipality is saying, oh, we don't have any money either. So now we have these two flattening of funding, if you will. So we've gone to the council and said, you must raise local funding. And I think they'll do that. But unfortunately, Woonsocket has many other places where they could put money. So they're reluctant to help us out, if you will, in the short run.
How supportive have the mayor and the council been to increasing local
Well, the mayor's
spending?
opened up her own mayoral academy, which is basically a competing school. It has a kindergarten, a first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. So, and that's going to continue opening a new grade every year. So
That's the Rise Mayoral Academy?
Rise Mayoral Academy. Okay. So that is her school. So one of the best ways that you can make your school look good is to underfund the public schools. So I don't know if this has been a conscious effort, but I can tell you that the local aid has been at $16 million since 2013. So the city has not increased their contribution since 2013. So if they don't increase their contribution, it is doubtful that the state will also increase their contribution. So because the first thing they'll say is, if the city's not contributing, why should we? So we have gone before the city council and we have petitioned them heavily to say, in this upcoming year, you must increase the local aid, because if you don't, we're not going to get any more state aid. We're already bleeding a teacher a week. We're the lowest paid in the state. You've got to do something.
Do they understand that argument?
I believe they do. Okay. We helped to try to get them reelected.
Yeah.
We needed a supermajority. We now have it.
Okay.
So there are 7 members on that council. We needed 5, which we have. The other 2, I'm not sure. They may go with us. I'm not sure. But the mayor had the ability to do whatever she wanted between the appointed school committee. She's the one responsible for all the contracts. And she had enough votes on the city council not to get an override.
Okay.
So that's been a very interesting dynamic, which is now changed. So I'm hopeful that we will end up with more funding beginning in April, May, when they set the budget this year. I'm hopeful there'll be something. But again, Woonsocket has a limit on what they're doing. We also don't know what the state's going to do, because there hasn't been an announcement for that. We believe that there's going to be an increase in categoricals, which is English as a second language, special education. And so we know that there's going to be an increase there, but again, nobody can tell us how much, therefore no guarantees, therefore can't tell you what's going to happen in your contract.
Okay.
So it's been interesting.
Yeah, and you basically answered my next question about the mayoral school, so I'm just going to pretty much forget that one because you took care of everything I was going to ask.
Well, interestingly enough, the city is trying to enforce their own zoning regulations. So the city council has sued the mayor and the mayoral academy because they're putting the school in a place where it is not allowed in the zoning.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. So, like I say, the mayor is just, it doesn't matter. Rules don't matter, laws don't matter, zoning doesn't matter as long as this school goes forward. So I find it hard where she can say, I support public education. I don't think so.
That's interesting.
Absolutely.
All right. Something I asked Mary Beth earlier, how do you feel about contract continuation and arbitration, and how would it benefit you in negotiations going forward?
So we're told that we're essential, as are police and fire. Therefore, we cannot strike. So if we cannot strike and we cannot arbitrate and we don't have contract continuation, then what does that mean? So we're left in this sort of no man's land, if you will. So without the power to strike, then how can we be essential personnel? So it's one or the other. It has to be, either we are or we're not. And if we're not, let us strike. If we are, then we need arbitration.
And I've said that all along. And we saw the teacher strikes be so successful in some of these right-to-work states.
Absolutely.
Earlier this year.
Absolutely.
And so, you say to yourself,
it may come. It may come. You don't know.
We're sort of out of time right now, so
Okay.
I have to let you go. But this was a great conversation.
Well, I'm glad we had it.
And like our producer said, a director said earlier, you're definitely welcome to come back anytime you have another issue.
I appreciate that.
So we welcome you back. This has been Labor Vision with Jeff Partington from the Woonsocket Teachers Guild. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.